It's GoGoMediaGirl, and I'm at Refinery with Melissa. So what do you do at the refinery?
I don't actually work at the refinery because I'm a freelance editor, but I'm busy working on a project here. And for this specific project, they're managing my media and data and stuff. So that's why I'm here at the moment.
What's a freelance editor?
Well, it basically just means that I'm an editor, but I'm a contractor. So I go wherever the work is. So whenever a production company needs an editor to cut a film or a documentary or whatever, they hire me. And then I either work at their office premises or they put me in a place like the refinery, or sometimes I work from home. So that's what that means.
And what do you like about being the editor for that stuff?
Well, for me, editing is about being a storyteller. So I get to work closely with the director and really find the story of the film or the documentary. It's very collaborative in that way. So if you think about writing a script, that's like one version of the story, and then you go out and you shoot it, and sometimes things don't always happen the way you plan them, or whatever, I don't know, maybe you change your mind on how you thought you were going to do it originally and end up there and you're like, no, I'm going to do it this way, it'll work better. And then I get all the footage and I put it together. And sometimes you have to figure out, well, the story's slightly different now. How do I tell the story so it's best for the characters and you understand the emotion of the characters and all of those things?
So what inspired you to be a freelance editor?
I think it's quite difficult as an editor to be permanently employed because of the kinds of projects you'll get to work on. So if you are a permanent employee for a company, you'll mostly get to work on corporate videos, or a lot of commercial editors have to be attached to a company, so otherwise they don't really get work. Although there's the exception to the rule as well. But within long format, which is documentaries and feature films and TV series, I would say 90% of people are freelance.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So what skills do you need when you're being a freelance editor? Yeah.
Well, it's quite a technical job in that you have to have computer skills. There's several different software programs that you need to know. The principles of them are all the same, so you can work between them. But we are human, so we like to stick to the one we know really well.
What do you use?
I use Final Cut Pro. Yeah, so there's Final Cut Pro, there's Avid, and there's Adobe Premiere. And they all have their pros and cons, and it sometimes also depends on what kind of project you're working on. Like if it's reality TV, like one of the programs might suit your workflow being the type of camera you use to how the media that the camera then gives you has to be handled. So different programs handle different things in different ways, better or worse, or yeah. And then I think just the sense that you want to tell a story. You also have to be able to work alone for most of the time. Being an editor is really about sitting in front of a computer by yourself for a lot of the time. So it's a little bit lonely, but you get to make friends with the characters in front of you.
Okay, cool. So, what was I going to ask? Yeah, school skills. So what school skills do you need when you're being a freelance editor, like reading or writing?
Oh, yeah, you have to read the script and you have to understand what the director's vision is, visual vision, story vision. There's like quite a different number of layers to being an editor. So reading, writing, definitely. Not that you have to write stuff, but I think reading and writing are the same thing in my mind. What else? What other?
I don't know.
Run a list. I'll say yes or no.
Yeah, so what about working with guys? Because before this, I don't even know what a freelance editor is, so Can you just like tell me about working with guys? Is it like competition or anything?
I think the post-production side of filmmaking, which editing falls into, is quite male-dominated because it can be quite technical. Within post-production, you have an offline editor, you have an online editor, you have a colorist, you have people who work in CAR, which are all very different kinds of jobs, and some are more technical and some are more creative. I specifically am an offline editor, and I think there are quite a few women in offline editing. I don't think there are enough women. And I think it can be competitive. Even woman to woman, it's competitive. Because every job is about being as good as you can be.
Okay, cool. Well, that was Melissa from, yeah, a freelance editor, and GoGoMediaGirl.